Hello and welcome back to Belmont Punch. Continuing the pandemic edition with our correct predictions, our right opinions. This time around, thank you once again in the comments for being very respectful of me, specifically me, not James, screwing up the first iteration of this video. Yeah, you guys were very mature, and thank you for that. And it makes me want to get better at this, so I will. It's a guarantee. All right, let's get going. Let's stop letting me talk freely. To the east, for my East Coast bias, which I showed in the last video, by understanding the East more. Let's start with Boston. The Islanders just ripped the Band-Aid off. Look at that. Who am I going to pick in this series? Let's go with Boston. Surprise? Not at all. Look at those numbers. Special teams. That's going to be important. Remember that for later in the bracket. Which is not a spoiler because I just said Boston's going to win. Islanders really became a middling team for only the last 4 months of the season. I know some Islander fans were clinging on to the 16-3-1 or whatever team that started the year is the real version of this team. I would like to counter with 4 months of hockey after that. Just middling hockey, lucky to get in this system, and the point percentage system, because, Columbus was ahead of them. The Islanders had games in hand, but that became a phrase I did not like to continue saying after the Islanders stopped winning. So those games in hand don't really matter so much. Let's go with Boston. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Oh, yeah. Alrighty then. Let's move on to one of my favorite teams in the league, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Clip that, send it to me, make fun of me. Tampa Bay and Toronto. This would be a very interesting series. Season series skewed Toronto 2-1-0. By the way, the Islander season series with Boston, I believe it was. What do I got here? Boston went 2-0-1, so competitive series, but Boston. Toronto played Tampa pretty well. Here are your stats on our second whiteboard. Look out. Goals for. Yeah, these teams like to score. And that means it'd probably be a pretty fun series to watch, regardless of the outcome. Goals against. Yeah, Tampa Bay's got that. That's a major pitfall for Toronto. Also, playoff Freddie. I'm trying to figure out Freddie in the playoffs. I think he's a very good goalie. I like him a lot. Although sometimes some of these goals in important elimination games and playoff situations. Game 7 last year, I think he gave up some clunkers, some not so great goals. And Vasilevsky with Tampa Bay. I can't say he did much better last year against Columbus, although there was a little bit of a team meltdown, which Tampa Bay is becoming known for in the playoffs. Rates, power play, just about exactly the same. Penalty kill and goals against is where I go with Tampa in the series. Toronto did take the season series, but Tampa Bay has something to prove after last year. Not to say Toronto doesn't. Toronto absolutely, in a similar, way. That's why I think the series would be one of the best in the playoffs for watchability, just because I think there'd be tons of scoring. Both teams desperate to shed recent reputations. And I think Toronto got hot. They really, really, really need this. I know Toronto also really needs this. It's so tough to pick an edge when it comes to who's more desperate, because they're both right there. I got to give the edge to Tampa. Probably in my original video, I said 5. Given more time to think about this, probably like 7. Toronto, last year, despite losing in 7 again to Boston, I did think they matured a little bit. They won a road game to start the series. They looked more confident, and I think that's growing little by little. It's just a matter of how patient can you be now. If they were to lose this hypothetical series, are they starting to re-rack the team? I mean, they kind of have to. The cap situation, of course they would. But yeah, guys like Tyson Barrie, Egon, and I think a lot of Toronto fans are actually okay with that. but maybe it's a good thing for Toronto. Maybe it allows them to reassess their defensive structure next year, and also having a new coach for the whole season will help. And I think Toronto will probably be pretty good again next year, assuming there is a next year. We're going to go with Tampa in 7 in this one. Oh, no. Not my PK. Hope nobody heard that. All right. Carolina and Washington. Rematch of an epic series decided in double overtime of Game 7 last year in the favor of Carolina. Oh, boy. This is fun. These two teams, budding Southern rivalry, not super South, but you know. Oh, man, this would be a lot of fun. I'd be watching this series. I'd be watching all these series. I like hockey. But let's go to the stats. Oh, the season series first. I believe it was 2-1-1 tie. Great recipe for another 7-game series, which it will be. So now it's just a matter of picking the team. Goals for. Both teams pretty potent offenses. Washington, number 1 in the league. So, yes, that's probably more than potent. Goals against. Carolina, still pretty decent defensively. I think they're just missing a rockin' goal from being like absolute cup contenders. Power play, they probably should have gone after Leonard. Just thinking of that. Probably should have gone after Leonard in the trade market. But power play, pretty close. Carolina, really surprised to see Carolina has the superior power play. I got all these stats on ESPN, by the way. ESPN.com. All right, penalty kill. Both very good penalty kills. Carolina, elite penalty kill. So, you got Carolina as more of a defensive team. You got Washington as a freewheeling team. Let's look at the goalies for a sec. Holtby, not even sure he'd be the Game 1 starter. I mean, he wasn't last year. Yeah, I think Samsonov might get a shot. It depends, obviously, on how the season would have continued. Man, both these teams would... I mean, Reimer played pretty decent for Carolina this year, made his case to maybe start Game 1. I think they would go with Mrazek. You know, last year they were able to switch goalies and still win the series against the Islanders. So, you know, that's not... I didn't want to mention that. Anyway, so much playoff, you know, experience on Washington. But they had that same experience last year, and they lost to Carolina. And Carolina now, a year more mature. I love Evgeny Svechnikov and his very, very high shoulders. It's funny because I'm looking at this like I haven't already picked it. I planned this video out. We're going to go with Carolina. Carolina in another Game 7. I'm sorry, Washington. That's rough. But these teams are so... When they play, it's just playoff atmosphere. And Carolina, I just like their goaltending a little bit better, which is kind of crazy to say. Because, you know, Samsonov's an unknown in the playoffs, obviously. And... Man, Holtby inspired just about no confidence in me throughout the year. Struggled against the Islanders. Don't struggle against the Islanders as a goalie. We make goalies look good. We got shut out by Toronto when Hutchison was in goal. So yeah, we're gonna go with Carolina again in another 7-game series. Yep. Oh, I'm back. All right, let's move to one of my favorite rivalries in the NHL, outside of Islanders Rangers. Philly and Pitt, the Battle of PA. These teams have met fairly recently. Pittsburgh's been getting the best of Philly in those series for the most part, given that they've won a bunch of titles recently. But let's look at some stats. Let's look at the season series first. Penn's 2-1-0. So, you know, there's that. The goal rates, very close. Philly filling the net pretty well throughout the latter half of the year. Pittsburgh doing what they do, which is play well even without Crosby and Malkin. It's magic. Their coaching is really good. Goals against, slight edge to Philly. Again, Carter Hart played really, really well second half of the year. Tristan Jarry, obviously, playing really well for Pittsburgh for a lot of the year. Murray, it's a murky situation with Matt Murray. Does he end up in Seattle soon? We shall see. But, man, the rates are so close in this series. So I do think this goes 7. Yeah, I'll go with 7. Yeah, why not? I've talked myself into it. I was going to say 6. We'll go with 7. Philly, a lot of firepower. Pittsburgh, a lot of firepower. Defensively, both are pretty good, but not incredible. Goaltending, slight edge to Philly right now. I know Carter Hart unproven in the playoffs, but riding a high streak into the playoffs helps. And man, it's just so close by the stats. I'm going to give the slightest of edges to Philly in probably 7. Probably a lot of overtime games in this series. Take a lot out of both teams. So yeah, that could be tough for Philly facing a very, very good Metropolitan opponent in Carolina in round 2. But yeah, let's give this one to Philly the slightest of margins. Let's go to the conference I did wrong last time. St. Louis and Calgary, good place to start. Best team in the West in St. Louis. Looked just as strong this year as they did in the January on window of last year. Goals for per game, fairly solid. Goals against, very good. Power play, also very good. Penalty kill, that's a bit of a surprise. Might be a problem in the playoffs at some point, but not in this round. Yes, I've given it away. Calgary, negative goal differential, negative goal rates. Decent offense. Okay, they're just like kind of a middling team, which is kind of disappointing because, last year they were so good and it felt like they lost something in the playoffs other than the games. Special teams wise, they're pretty good. They got Big Save Dave in net. I give Binnington the edge in that matchup. Other than the penalty kill, St. Louis, pretty dominant. St. Louis in the season series, 3-0-1, I believe it was, against Calgary. So yeah, there's no reason not to go with St. Louis here. And I will in 5 games. Hi. All right, so Colorado and Dallas, very fun series. Actually, the one that gave me the most headaches in trying to figure out. Colorado has a distinct edge in goals for. I think their star power has an edge when you look at that first line, what it could be when they're healthy. Rantanen, Landeskog, McKinnon, it's so good. Tyson Jost, they'd like to see a little bit more. Donskoy's been a good addition. I love Nazem Kadri. If he doesn't get suspended in the playoffs, he'll be great. Defensively, Cale Makar has been leading the way. Zadorov hits people a lot. They're, just a pretty good team. They're fun to watch. I guess every team goes through this, but, I guess because we've been waiting for them to become a juggernaut for the last few years, as they've been building back from a few years ago, being really looking like they were done. Looked real bad. But, man, what a turnaround it's been for them. Joe Sakic, good job. Dallas on the other end of the coin. On the other side of the coin. Goals for per game, really minuscule. But great defense. Not a lot of depth in the scoring, but fantastic goaltending and general strong defensive play is able to, get them where they were, which was a playoff spot very comfortably. Power play is fine. Penalty kill, kind of like the Blues. It's just like a team, their goals against is that low. It's surprising. I guess they give up all their goals 5-on-5. Colorado, slight edge in penalty kill, which you wouldn't expect, and slight deficiency in power play, which you also wouldn't expect. And, I think a big part of that is probably a lot of injuries to the star players that would be running that power play for Colorado this year. So, come playoff time, that might not be as big a problem. So, Dallas won the regular season series 4-0-0, which has to factor in. Oh, man. Original video, the wrong one. I went with Colorado, and I was somewhat confident of that. I am now going to go with Dallas, and I'm equally only somewhat confident in that. I think the season series thing is a big part of it. man, they're a good playoff team, Dallas. They don't go all the way, but they're a tough out. And they've become, a very, 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 very big irritant for teams that are higher seeds than them, even though this is pretty equal. Yeah, we're going to go with Dallas in 7. Also, I like picking 7. I think there's good parity in this league. Vegas and Nashville. An interesting series, kinda. Nashville is a team I really thought was going to be better than they were, if you go back to my predictions video. Vegas, I thought my cup was Vegas and the Caps. And I didn't have the Caps get out of the first round. I thought they had stamped out some of the defensive issues from last year in the regular season. Washington, they kind of let up in the playoffs, and then this year they didn't really improve on that goals against. So, yeah, that's where that went. Vegas, on the other hand, has been playing better, has gotten better as the season went along. Don't think Gerard Gallant should have been fired, but he was. Goaltending, they bring in Robin Lehner. Sure, that's a good move. Why not? Lehner, one of my favorite players in the league, my favorite player in the league, makes a scary goaltending tandem for Vegas to go with the hot hand. The stats, Vegas, goals for, pretty close. Both teams that can score, they can score the puck there, eh? Goals against, not a huge separation, but, Vegas has tended to be stingy come playoff time. The Kings learned that in the inaugural season. Power play, yeah, pretty good. Nashville's still struggling, kind of like last year. Penalty kill. Why are these teams both so terrible at killing penalties? That is really surprising. I'm sure that's part of the reason the goals against for Vegas is as high as it is. On top of that, I kind of trust the Vegas goaltending a little bit more than Nashville. I like Saros. Rene, I think this would be, this is probably his last run. Maybe he'll stick around one more year to get one more run in. So we're going to go with Vegas. We're going to probably call it 6 because Nashville playoff experience. Don't think they just get battered super easily. Man, I'm just a little bit in shock of both teams' penalty kill issues, especially with Nashville having one of the deeper defensive cores in the league for the last few years. And Vegas hasn't had big names, but they've been pretty solid. So yeah, that's a little bit of a surprise. Let's finish off the first round with Edmonton and Vancouver. This would be a all-Western Canadian playoff series, an all-Canadian playoff series. So that would be fun. Ratings in Canada would be pretty solid. First time since probably Calgary and Vancouver that we'd have an all-Canadian playoff series, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. This is a fun one. This one did take me a while to select the team, given they're very close. Very, very close in a lot of the stats. Let's look. Goals for. Pretty close. Slide edge Vancouver. Goals against. Slide edge Vancouver. Sorry, slide edge Edmonton. Man, special teams. Vancouver's got a good power play. Edmonton has a unreal power play. Grammatically correct? Yep. Man, 84.4. That is shocking. Hey, you look at that. You look at that defensive core, and wow, that's impressive that they're doing that with this. It's not the sexiest defensive lineup, but it's been pretty good. Coaching, good job. Vancouver, very good team, very fun team. They can score, they can defend, all right-ish. JT Miller's been a fun acquisition. Their top line is really, really good. Watching, Besser when he's healthy, play with Pettersson, Miller, pretty great starting lineup there. Defensively, Quinn Hughes has been leading them offensively. Defensive, offensive. Goaltending's an interesting thing because I'd give the edge to Vancouver. Markstrom, very good. Obviously, if he was okay by this time, which he would be in this scenario, he's a very good starter. And Thatcher Demko, he probably helps in this scenario that Thatcher Demko wouldn't be starting. And Edmonton's goalies have been, man, they've done a good job. They kind of struggled last year, but well done to Mikko Koskinen. Well done. Good for you. Golf clap for you. Man, this would be a fun series. The top lines of each team, really, really good. I think Vancouver is maybe the slightest bit deeper, but based on special teams and the seasoned strength of their star power, Vancouver has their star power. It just hasn't been playoff tested yet, really. And I mean, not that Edmonton's has been so much, but Edmonton's players, Edmonton's star youngsters, have had more experience, and I think would be more in control of these games. I'm going to give Edmonton the series in 6. Call it 6. Could go 7. Be a really fun series. Be a really good series. Yeah, so Edmonton 6. Round 2. Here we go. Eastern Conference. Boston and Tampa Bay. The toughest series for me to pick of the round 2 matchups. Season series, Tampa Bay 3-1-0.